Today on Law Weekly, we discuss the composition of the Corruption and Financial Crime Cases Trial Monitoring Committee, recently set up by the Chief Justice of Nigeria and Chairman National Judicial Council, Justice Walter Onoge. Against the background of recent criticisms trailing the composition of the committee, the most notable coming from the rights group SERAC, we speak to a member of the committee, former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Joseph Daudu, and some other senior lawyers. We also have the views of some senior lawyers on the recent clash between the Minister of State for Petroleum and the GMD of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. We look specifically at certain provisions of the NNPC Act and what it says about the powers of both men, plus our recap of the top trending stories from the courts. That's the lineup on this episode of Law Weekly. Hello and welcome. I am Shola Shoyeli. It was the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, a non-governmental advocacy group, which recently wrote a letter to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, urging him to reconsider the composition of the Justice Ayo Salami Committee with a view to removing the risk of apparent and potential conflicts between the work of the committee and the private practice of some of its members who are handling high-profile cases of corruption involving politically exposed persons. SERAP instead suggested that for the Salami Committee to perform its task effectively and with propriety, it should preferably be composed entirely of members of the judiciary, particularly drawn from an available pool of brilliant and incorruptible retired judges. The committee, as presently constituted, includes the Chief Judge of Borno, Imo, Delta, and Oyo states. Others are representatives of the National Judicial Council, NJC, NGOs, and professional associations like the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, and the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA. Some lawyers shared with Law Weekly their thoughts on the composition of the committee.
I concede to SERAP and other organizations their right to comment on the constitution of the panel, or any other panel for that matter, that is to operate in the public sphere. But I want to point out that this panel does not have any powers of sanction. It's like a fact-finding panel to assist the Chief Justice of Nigeria in his avowed stand to ensure that there is speedy trial of corruption cases and money laundering cases. So my own take is that the panel does not have any power to award punishment to anybody or to sanction anybody. It is purely advisory to the Chief Justice of Nigeria. So if that is the case, interest or no interest will not really matter.
Their goal is to erase the doubts that has come into the judicial system. You know, a while ago, some judges were, accosted. Some have been prosecuted. Many judges are being removed. People are complaining about quality of justice, judgments, and rulings of courts. There's need to reinstill some degree of credibility to the judiciary. And the best way to do it is not for the executive or the legislature to come in. It's for the judiciary internally to evolve ways of restoring public confidence in the system. And that is what the #1 judge has done. He has looked in and has seen the quality of people that can do it and has empaneled them. I believe they will not fail the nation.
I think those members in that committee were carefully chosen, especially the chairman of that committee, and then the legal giants that are there. Most of them are former president of the Nigerian Bar Association. There are some people there that we can vouch for their integrity. So I'm not clearly against it. They are men that have been tested and they have been found to be capable to carry out that responsibility. My only small argument against it is that I hope they will have time in order to carry out the responsibility that is actually entrusted upon them, because it's going to be very onerous, monitoring the courts that are actually handling the corruption cases to ensure that is due compliance with the law and also with the timeline.
To deepen the discussion, we asked a member of the committee if the committee had met and how it had decided to deal with the criticism trailing its membership. And here's what Joseph Daudu had to say.
I don't think at the committee level would dignify such complaints with any consideration. There is no conflict of interest. Whose interest? There are three parties in a criminal matter. Firstly, the state. Secondly, the accused person himself. And thirdly, members of the public. Each has a stake in the outcome of the matter. Now, it's not possible to imagine that people who have specialized in the defense of accused persons for over 30 or 35 years, or 40 in some cases, have nothing to offer as to why cases are delayed in court. Indeed, some of the people against whom this malice has been brought about are people who have, while they were occupying positions of responsibility in the legal profession, contributed immensely to the improvements in the criminal justice system. So the mere fact that you defend an accused person doesn't make you an accomplice to the offense allegedly committed by that person. And it does not put you in bad light. It's a misconception to think that because you are defending somebody, then that means your interest is to ensure that he goes scot-free. Your interest is that you defend him according to the facts that he has given you. So when we who go to court every day, as opposed to some senior advocates who never step into the courtroom, but are content to sit in front of television cameras and make their case,